It's all happening live, ladies and gentlemen, and we've got a couple guests here we had on to speak about other things, but this is dominating everything else. Clement Izu, head of research at Financial Derivatives Company Limited. Also, Mukthar Mohamed, CEO of Finance with Mukthar. Mukthar, you were supposed to talk about stocks. We were supposed to talk about Kenya and the rate increase, but we're throwing that away, gentlemen. In the time that we have remaining, what do you make of this? Clement, what do you make of this?
Yeah, actually, what we're seeing today is expected because we've taken this conversation before. The policy statement that Mr. President made is in the right direction, but it's the timing. We've already said, we know that subsidy is biting because for 2022, the subsidy expenditure exceeds the revenue generated by about 19 states put together. You know, 4.39 trillion naira. When the federal government revenue is that they had to spend was 5.06 trillion naira. So you see it's a humongous loss. But we should not forget the fact that all over the world, there are subsidies. Energy subsidy, particularly in 2022, rose by about 130% based on IMF record to about $845 billion. It's all over the world. So if we are going to remove subsidy, because I always say this, the first best alternative is to deal with the issue. What we have is issue of institutional failure. That we said we are consuming 66 million liters per day, but NNPC said about 44 million liters per day are smuggled.
Right.
So so that is a waste.
Right.
And we don't even know what is a subsidy template. So there are a whole lot of things. We have crude for fuel swap arrangement. We don't even know what it is. If we have crude for fuel swap arrangement that we take oil to Trafigura, to Vitol, to refine and bring back, where is the subsidy? So a whole lot of shady deals there. But if government cannot deal with that, the alternative is to remove it. But if you are removing it, there must be conversation. There must be dialogue. People must understand what you want to do.
Yep.
And more importantly, there must be mitigants. Look at what Kenya did. They announced that they're removing subsidy, and there was chaos. There was riot everywhere. And they sit back and say, okay, we're going to remove the tariff on imported food. You see, so the household now are having relief.
Yeah.
So you see their inflation now from 9.2 down to 7.9. And that is lowest in 10 months. Because they have taken, because they have taken some drastic actions to address the household impact of this removal. So I think that has not been done. What do we have for household? Because we are talking about, so there's no electricity. Less than 45% of Nigeria have access to national grid. And so if I go to power my gen, and I'm from 185 to 500 and whatever, that's more than 3 times.
Gotcha. Let me bring in Mukthar. Mukthar, again, we're supposed to talk about stocks and how Tinubu boosted the market, but this is way more important. What's your own take on what's been going on?
I think right policy, like we always say, wrong timing. I think that speech was an emotional speech by the president. Maybe he was excited. Whoever prepared that speech didn't do the right thing for him. I expect him to say subsidy will go. Like he said, we'll have a conversation. We know that subsidy has to go. And we all agree that subsidy should go. And remember, provision was made for subsidy till June. So you're not telling us that, oh, you just came in. You said, okay, now Festus Keyamo came up and said what the president is saying, that they didn't make provision for, I mean, everybody knew that it was going to go by June. From June, there's no provision for, but that's not what the president said. And now that's not what we are seeing on the streets now. So definitely, I think the APC have come again with their so double standard, I would call it. Because look, you don't throw stone. Like I was telling you, don't throw stone
back
in the glass.
Back in 2012,
Back in 2012, these were the same people that were all the way in Ojota singing and crucifying the then President Goodluck Jonathan. And at that time, that was the best time
to remove
would have removed subsidy. We had a robust reserve. We have an exchange rate that was steady. We had one of the best hand would have been able to handle that in the person of Ngozi Nkonjo well at that time. We had a subsidy committee that was set up, was headed by Haik Imokwe, then former CEO of Access Bank. Everything was in place, but because of politics, they took it off. And I never say, don't play politics with your security and economy. It has a way of having a tumble, and that is what we are experiencing now. And I tell you, nobody is going to find it easy, whether you are rich or you are poor. And raising the price from 185 to 537 naira within 48 hours It's not done anywhere in the world.
Okay, so, but it looks like the president is not, Clement, let me come back to you. Thank you, Mukthar. The president doesn't look like he's going back. During the campaign, he said, I'm going to remove it, and I don't care about the protests. Yesterday, as Mukthar, whether it was emotional, whether it was in the script or not, he said it's gone, right? And we have the NMPC quoting this price. So they can't go back, can they? It's where we are. Can they reverse it?
Well, the president has the power to revise it. It's not cast on stone.
Yeah.
But for us, it is time to bite the bullet. Now, the fact that he made that decision means he's ready to deal with the problem. But then what Nigerians are expecting is, let him come to talk to Nigerians and say, immediately I'm doing this. This is the palliative. This is the succor. Let that conversation, let that communication come forth clearly.
Can I, sorry to interrupt, can I ask the both of you, these palliatives, because we've had a very heavy debate on this on the morning show this morning. How long do these palliatives go on for? And are you not transferring a subsidy from one place to the next? You mentioned Kenya, food now, transportation. Are you not transferring a subsidy to another? If you want to say, I'm going to take this money, it's $800 million loan from the World Bank, and subsidize transportation, subsidize food. It's not a transfer.
In every policy implementation, there are trade-offs. You can't have it all.
Okay.
There are pains, there are gains. So if the household are taking pains, they should take some gain. Government is taking gain because you're going to save so much, save 4.39 trillion. That is so much gain. Then what is the household also getting? What are you going to lose for that? So what we're saying is the step taken is in the right direction. It's just the timing. What the government can do is to go back and say, okay, where and in what manner are household going to be most pained by this? Where would they be hurt? So what can we do as intervention to ameliorate that pain? Because it can, like I told you, $845 billion worldwide, and they're developing economies mostly. So there is no economy. If you read Namibia's budget, you read Botswana, but these economies that are doing well in Africa, you see their budget, they have social security clearly defined, subsidy clearly defined, even in their budget statement. So there must be something you are providing for the poor in one way or the other. But the difference is that if you go to Botswana, they have more of production subsidies. All right? So what we need to do is, let's define it. Because the president has not told us, what am I doing about electricity? In so months, we are going to have electricity double to so. We don't have that clear conversation. As we speak, the money that's going to be saved from subsidy, where is it going to go to? There's no clear conversation. The people have to trust you. And already you have a trust. Don't forget that this president won with only 37% vote. That's the least since 1999. So there's a legitimacy problem he has to handle. People don't, a great chunk of the voters say, oh, this is not our choice. All right? So that has to be dealt with caution.
Thank you, Clement. We're running out of time. Mukthar, if we're going to, the three of us own cars, right? But if they say they want to subsidize transportation, if you and I, if three of us enter a bus, we'll be paying that subsidy. Is it a data problem? How do we separate the people who should not be subsidized for bus rides and the people who should be?
It's a data problem.
Right.
I don't believe that we are consuming 66 million liters.
Right.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, Clement said it. 44 million is being
I don't believe that, and I don't believe 44 million is being smuggled.
Right.
I still don't believe that.
So you think the whole thing is a scam?
It's a scam. We all know that subsidy is a scam because there is no structure. Like he said, in other economy, I've said it on your program, the rich and the poor need subsidy. So you don't come and say you want to subsidize only the poor. Because by the time you're subsidizing only the poor are working for the rich. So there will definitely be a effect that the rich will take to gain back what they are losing in terms of not getting that subsidy. So when we look at subsidy, we should look at subsidy that if you want to subsidize, you must subsidize something that is productive, like he said, and something that is tangible that we can place a number to. You can't, look, this subsidy is going to cause inflation. Already people are shouting that what used to cost transportation of 500 naira is already 1,000 naira. That was before even the 500 and some. So by the time you get somebody to pay 500, then people will be paying about 2,000. We are not saying that you shouldn't remove subsidy. Number one, you have come in. You need to look at it. Remember he said it that the subsidy will go. But later on he was saying, when he was prepared to, I said he didn't categorically say subsidy will go. It's something that we will look into and see how we can get it up. No, you are not even having a conversation. And you are just announcing that subsidy will go. You're not even telling the people what they will benefit. The workers are shouting that salary is not enough. There is rising inflation. You came with inflation. Inflation must go down. Inflation will not go down by your pronouncement. Just to add up, whatever you are seeing happening in the stock market is just based on his pronouncement. There's nothing happening. He has made positive pronouncement. Now they say you can build your castle on the air, but after if you're building your castle on the air, start adding foundation to it below it. Because he has made the pronouncement. Where's the foundation? That's where the work starts.
Great conversation. Breaking news: NNPC posting prices 515 Bielsa, 537 in Abuja. It's all happening here, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to Clement Izu, Head of Research at Financial Derivatives Company Limited, and Mukthar Mohamed, CEO of Finance with Mukthar. Thank you, gentlemen, for being so flexible.
Thank you
so much. What we plan to talk about today.